What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video I'm going to be taking a look at the NG Models October 2022 releases. Hints came out on the morning of Wednesday, October 5th. It is currently in the evening as I record this. Got around to recording this since I found a little bit of free time in my schedule here today. So, let's take a look here at the hints. This looks to be a bit of a smaller release set this month, and that is a good sign because the last several release sets that we've seen from NG in particular have been quite large, and quite frankly that has resulted in numerous delays and plenty of QC problems that have surfaced as well. And it's quite unfortunate to see from them, especially since they have said that QC is within their DNA, so I would at least hope that they would fix that. But nevertheless, this is still a pretty decently sized release set. I think this is kind of a happy medium here, or maybe on the higher end. 15 to 20 models I think would be ideal for NG at this point, just so they can get plenty of variety, not too little so that it makes collectors upset, but not too much so as to not have QC issues to go along with it. But here we go. So in total we have 6 737s, 3 787s, 2 A318s, 2 A321s, 2 A330s, 1 A350, 2 Lockheed Tristars, 1 Tupolev Tu-154, 1 Tupolev Tu-204, and 1 Comac C919. So go ahead and start off here at the 737s, and actually before we dive in too far, I do want to mention that some of these releases that will be featured here are some of the ones that I initially predicted in the September release video, and some of them were moved to a future release, so it is possible that some of these releases will be done here this month. So we'll see what happens with some of these predictions. So they may be a little bit off depending on some of the future releases, but I do think that there's a possibility that they may do some other releases in place of something that I would have initially predicted last month for a prediction that may match up with what was featured last month. I know that's a little bit confusing, but we'll just go ahead and continue here with the predictions. Start off here with the 737s. We got a Hotel Alpha up first. I went with Smart Wings Hungary on this one. There's plenty of other options out there. I think Malev was another one that I saw out there, but I think Smart Wings would make some sense for them. But again, Malev will be my secondary guess here. Got two November 7 ones. The first one I went with was the Southwest Classic. So this is this old 737-700 Desert Gold livery, which has since been retired. And the Max 8 that has now been painted into the Desert Gold livery has since surfaced. It is out of the paint factory. It is on the flight line. It's pretty much ready to go for its first flight here, possibly in the coming weeks. So I imagine by the end of the year that will be in service, along with the Canyon Blue Max 8 Retro, which is kind of weird to say. I imagine that by the end of the year, both those planes will be in service. And I would definitely like Gemini Jets to release that, but I think here with this 737 release from NG Models, November 7 one, the first one anyway, will be one of the old Desert Gold Retros. And we have November 7 one again. The second one, I went with Sun Country. This will be a 700 again, because they do have one of these wingless ones still left in their fleet. I think they use them for, like, crew training or charter stuff, kind of like what Ryanair does, since Ryanair has a lot of 738s, but I think they have one 700 left that they just use for, like, crew training and whatnot, and charter stuff. I think that's kind of a similar situation to what Sun Country has. November 5-3, I initially went with the Alaska Hawaiian Lei livery, which is like the one that has little red flowers ahead of Chester on the tail. But after going back to the future releases, I did see that the Alaska Star Wars, which was a future release, that was 538 Alpha Sierra, that did line up with this prediction. So I went ahead and changed it to the Alaska Star Wars. I think that'd make the most sense. Now, November 8-6, I decided to stick with this one. The new Tennessee 1 plane that I initially predicted for September, that is also a future release. I imagine that will probably be released this month, but the prediction that I went with here is the new Illinois 1, and that has surfaced just not too long ago. It is on November 8619er Foxtrot, and that particular plane has the Illinois 1 livery, which is actually kind of nice to see, but again, I just don't think it fits the 800. It's better suited for a 700 or a Max 7, but they got to do what they got to do, so we just have to roll with it. And then we got a Hotel Lima 8. I decided to go with Korean Air here, since that's kind of the big carrier in South Korea. So I figured they'll probably go with Korean Air, but there's plenty of other options, but this is the one I decided to go with. Then we got 3 787 Dreamliners up next. Another Hotel Zulu. They've done several of these, I swear. Apparently there's more of them that they can do out there, but we have a Hotel Zulu up next. This is a Saudi 75 years, or at least the one that I'm going to be predicting here. It'll be Hotel Zulu - Alpha Romeo Alpha, that is on a -9. And then we have 2 Papa Hotels after that. I think both of them will be KLM for sure. One of them will be a -9 and the other will be a -10, perhaps with the 100th anniversary special livery, which I think most of them have since been repainted now. They've removed the sticker now that it's been past the 100th anniversary of KLM. The 2 A318s are pretty much the same from last month. They were never formally announced by NG in either the main release set or as a future release. So I think here it'll be pretty much the same. I kept the first one the same with British Airways. Another one that I saw here, this is actually not edited with the whole revised scheme in there. That was actually added by NG in the initial hints, if you did catch that towards the start of this video. Revised scheme, so that likely indicates that they changed what they were going to do with this second A318 release. So I decided to go with the red nose one after talking to a couple of collectors. So there's a variant of the British Airways A318 that was around that had a red nose on it. So we'll see if they do that one. 2 A321s up next. We got a Victor Hotel. This one will probably be Jetstar. This is from Australia, so I imagine the Australian collectors will be very pleased to see this. And then we have a Juliet Alpha 2. I found another Jetstar release with this, but this is a one registered in Japan, so that's why I have it titled as Jetstar Japan. And it is on a Neo as well, and it does not specify if it's a regular A321 or an A321 Neo, so I think it will be a Jetstar Japan Neo. Then the 2 A330s, I went with Oscar. This is probably going to be Brussels Airlines. I think they did one a while ago, but they haven't done one in a while now, so I think Brussels Airlines will be more than likely for them to have that be released. They'll be on a 300. And then a Foxtrot Golf, I decided to go with Air France Old Livery. I didn't find too many applicable options with this particular prediction. So Air France Old Livery, it is here on the A330-200, which I did see in Chicago back in 2019, so kind of cool. E350, Delta Alpha again, so another Lufthansa of some sort, not sure exactly what livery that's going to be. And then the 2 Tristars, a Juliet Yankee. This will be Royal Jordanian. I think that's kind of a very, very easy guess, unless there's some other operator that I was not able to catch in my research. And then a Victor 2, I decided to go with Air India on this one. I think that's really the only option. So an Air India Tristar, I bet that will please some collectors for sure. And then we have a Lima Zulu. This is a bit of a unique one here with this Tupolev Tu-154. So this is the tri-engined Tupolev plane that they made a while ago. And I think NG now has the mold for it. And I can't think off the top of my head right now if they've done one before, but someone can go back into the previous NG release videos that I've done and correct me on that if I'm thinking that they haven't done one, or if they have done one but they haven't, all that stuff. But I think with this particular 154, it's either going to be Libyan Arab or Balkan Bulgarian. I probably butchered the pronunciation of that, so I do apologize. I went with 2 guesses here because I'm quite uncertain on which one they would do, because I don't want to necessarily say that I don't understand some of the operators out there. It's just that I'm not fully aware of all of the operators of the Tu-154. So it'll definitely be something that I'll have to dive deep into on my own time. Right here we have a Tupolev Tu-204. Up next, a Charlie Uniform Charlie. This is probably going to be Cubana cargo for sure. They did a Cubana passenger one a while ago, and I know a new livery was painted onto one, but I think it was a Charlie Uniform Tango. So this does not line up with this hint here. So I think Cubana cargo is the most logical guess here. And then finally we have a Comac C919, a Bravo-0. With a Comac test plane. That's probably what it's going to be here. I didn't really see any other options out there. I think the first airlines are about to start taking delivery of the Comac C919 here, so we'll see how that turns out. And before I conclude this portion of the video, there is one 1-200 release this month. We have one Gulfstream G550 here. This is Tango Papa-07 and X-Ray Charlie, so I'm not really sure how I can necessarily make a prediction with this, but there it is on your screen, so we'll take a look at that when that is announced. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and cut over to the releases once they're out. Probably be announced in the morning again, so I probably may sound tired, a little bit tired, pardon me, when I record that portion of the video. So, without further ado, let's head over there. Alright guys, we got the NG Models October 2022 releases out on a weekend, Saturday the 8th. Yeah, so I don't really have much else to say, so we're just going to go ahead and hop straight in. So first up we have a 736-76009. I can't remember if they had one. I think they just listed a 737, but here we go. First one is Malev, Hungarian Airlines. This is the secondary guess I made on one of these 737s. The Hotel Alpha one is the one that I'm referencing. Take a look at the next one, 77011. Ooh, yes. Sun Country, 737-700. This is their only one that they have left, as far as I'm aware, and it does not have winglets, which is really cool. It doesn't even have the little lake thing up front, too, which a lot of the later Sun Country planes that I've seen, they don't have them anymore. I haven't seen very many photos of that one, so I can't tell for sure if it has the lake on it or not, but I don't think it would. Next up, 58156 is the Alaska Star Wars 738. So one of the future releases announced last month. It got relegated to there. Now an official release for this month. You can barely see the Star Wars logo too, so I wonder if Disney's going to act upon that for any reason whatsoever. I don't think they would, though. I just kind of see it being difficult. Tennessee 1 up next. How about this for this next one, 58157? Another future release, of course, so nice to see them clearing out that backlog that they quickly created last month, so that is good news. Would imagine we might get a few extra new future releases rather this month. Next up, we have 79016, a Korean Air 737-900 with winglets. That is going to be very nice for the folks that like to collect the South Korean stuff. So yeah, really nice to see a domestic Korean aircraft in this release. Moving on to the 789s, 55080, we have the Riyadh special livery, it looks like. Saudi 789. Let me take a look here. Yeah, the Riyadh season. I'm probably not saying that right, so I do apologize. But some type of special occasion or period within the country. We got a big KLM 787-10 up next. How about that? So it looks like both of them are probably going to be Dash 10s then, if I had to guess. So this one is just the regular livery KLM aircraft. And we'll check the next one, 56015, and it does have the 100th anniversary sticker just right behind the L2 door. And this is a different registration. This one is Bravo Kilo Delta. The other one was Bravo Kilo Lima. All right, 48, I think that's the A318s. And it is 48001, British Airways A318. So this is Echo Uniform November Alpha. I did see this exact aircraft in New York in 2019 before they did retire them, unfortunately. So that pretty iconic London City to New York flight doesn't exist anymore. And I think on that route they did make a stop to like Dublin or something for customs. And also to refuel. And here's the other British Airways A319. This one has the special red nose variant. This is the prediction that I heard a couple of other collectors talking about, and it looks like they were right. Yep, so this is the one without the crown and the flying start titles with the red nose cone. How about this right here, a Jetstar A321 Neo, but this one is an Australian registered one, so that's very interesting. Thought they would have maybe done a regular A321 for this, but looks like it's nice to see them use a Neo on this. And then the other one is the Jetstar Japan Neo that I predicted, so at least that one's correct. Really nice to see both those Jetstar Neos, and I bet a lot of Australian collectors will be happy to see them. Next up, 61050, we have a CMA CGM Air Cargo. I could have sworn they did one of these not too long ago. I feel like I'm having deja vu when I'm looking at this. So, seems to be a bit of a re-release here. Another Airbus Beluga XL, so it looks like they're trying to do all of them. I think they have they have at least 5, because this is aircraft number 5, as indicated on the horizontal stabilizer there, at least on one of the extra little tail fins there, because this aircraft is so huge in terms of the fuselage size. Move on down here again with 39040, we have the Lufthansa A350-900 Clean Tech Flyer. We innovate for cleaner aviation special livery. And again, I feel like they did this one a while back, but perhaps maybe that one was also a future release, but I could be mistaken. Take a look at this one here. Nice one right here. A Royal Jordanian L1011 Tristar. So this looks like is the older livery compared to the like that dark green color one that we currently have. Some TriStars did wear that specific livery. I was thinking that they would more or less do that one, but this one here looks really nice, and I bet that will please a lot of retro collectors. And this one is indeed Air India Lockheed TriStar for 35019, the old livery here with an all-white livery. Nice to see that there. And then we have the Tupolev for 54002, and it is the Balkan Holidays aircraft. So this is actually a really nice livery, not going to lie. I love the yellow, orange, and red on the bottom, and then like the very dark blue, the normal blue, and the much lighter blue up at the top. I actually like the design of this livery. This is really nice in reference to the design. So this is a really fantastic livery, I think. Moving on down to 40013, which is incorrectly labeled on the website as 40007, so that will need to be fixed. But this one is the Cubana cargo one that I did predict for the Tupolev Tu-204-100S. And then finally, for 19011, it is a Comac C919 in the house livery. This is kind of like a mix of like the A350 with the winglets, A220 for the fuselage shape, and I'm trying to think like 787 for the cockpit window design, because it looks pretty identical to it when you think about it. And yeah, it's just kind of like a conglomerate of a bunch of Western aircraft that have been built that a lot of us are familiar with, but this one right here is a bit interesting. So I don't think anyone outside of like China is going to operate this as far as I'm aware, but that could change. And then finally we have our singular 1:200 scale release, which is this one right here, a Mexicana Gulfstream G550. So this looks like it's like a government plane of some sort, judging by the design of the livery and obviously the aircraft type, of course. Registration on this is X-Ray Charlie - Lima Oscar Kilo, or Tango Papa - 07. And that is everything we have for this month. Actually, no, never mind. We have several future releases here. 32010, a British Airways Lockheed Tristar with the Landor livery. So this one is named Bude Bay, made to commemorate the long history between Queen Elizabeth II and British Airways. And then the other future release, oh, I know this one was going to be in here. The Star Alliance Air New Zealand A321 Neo for 13056. That is really nice to see. So those two are our future releases, but let's take a look here at the main set for October 2022. Really nice variety here this month. I'm loving all the choices that they made. Plenty of options all around the globe. They're definitely a lot more diverse with these releases as opposed to Gemini jets. They don't follow like a strict formula as to what to release. Gemini likes to shake it up every now and then, but here they always put together something from at least every part of the world. Perhaps the only release that I wouldn't see be represented, maybe Africa, although the Balkan holidays. Okay, so they're more probably like Eastern Europe as far as I'm aware, but otherwise there's some very fantastic variety here, so even if we're just missing one continent or so, that's not going to affect my view of the release and just how good it is. There's plenty of options. Definitely going to be maybe something for me here. Perhaps I would get that Tennessee one, that Sun Country. Pretty much really it for me, since I'm really only collecting like American stuff. But all this other stuff is very applicable, I imagine, for other collectors who may have differing criteria. So really hope that this release set will interest a lot of collectors and definitely generate a lot of interest amongst all collectors. So there you have it. With that being said, that is the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.